Good afternoon, I'm Dilek Tuna and you're watching AnewZ. Let's see your headlines. US President Donald Trump says nuclear talks between the US and Iran are showing progress. The US delay EU tariffs until the 9th of July after the initial 50% tariff threat. Russia and Ukraine complete the largest prisoner exchange agreed during the Istanbul talks. Talks between Iran and the United States over Tehran's nuclear program show signs of limited progress, with the next steps remaining unclear. With mediation efforts ongoing, both sides are holding firm on key issues.
As global attention stays on nuclear non-proliferation and Middle East stability, Iran-US negotiations over Tehran's nuclear program continue, though the next round of talks remain uncertain. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi confirmed that no agreement has yet been reached on the date or venue for the next round of negotiations. He added that Tehran is proceeding patiently and calmly and reiterated Iran's commitment to its right to enrich uranium for peaceful purposes. The fifth round of talks in Rome last Friday, mediated by Omani Foreign Minister Badr al-Busaidi, saw some but inconclusive progress amid ongoing disputes over Iran's uranium enrichment. However, speaking to reporters in New Jersey, US President Donald Trump expressed optimism about the recent diplomatic efforts with Tehran.
Having to do with nuclear, we've had some very, very good talks with Iran, and I don't know if I'll be telling you anything good or bad over the next 2 days, but I have a feeling I might be telling you something good. We've had some real progress, serious progress.
While both sides maintain firm public positions, recent developments suggest that there is still room for negotiation in the effort to resolve the long-standing nuclear dispute.
US President Donald Trump has agreed to extend the deadline for trade negotiations with the European Union until the 9th of July, postponing the implementation of a proposed 50% tariff on EU imports. This decision follows a phone conversation with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, who requested additional time to reach a comprehensive trade agreement.
I tend to agree. We're not looking to make sneakers and... She just called me, as you know, and she asked for an extension on the June 1st date. And she said she wants to get down to serious negotiation because I've told you specifically, but I told anybody that would listen, they have to do that. And we had a very nice call, and I agreed to move it. I believe June 9th would be, July 9th would be the date. That was the date she requested. Could we move it from June 1st to July 9th? And I agreed to do that. And that she said we will rapidly get together and see if we can work something out.
Stock markets across Asia saw modest gains on Monday, while the euro strengthened after US President Donald Trump's unexpected decision. In Asia, MSCI's index rose 0.12% and Japan's Nikkei was slightly higher. Trading volumes on Monday are expected to be thin, given that markets in the United States and the United Kingdom are closed due to public holidays. ASEAN leaders have convened in Malaysia amid rising global trade tensions. US tariff threats and market instability are high on the two-day summit's agenda.
The annual ASEAN two-day summit began in Malaysia on Monday, with regional leaders voicing concern over growing global trade uncertainty, largely driven by US tariff threats under President Donald Trump. As market volatility rises and economic growth slows, the 10-member bloc is seeking ways to safeguard regional stability and strengthen economic resilience. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, hosting this year's summit, said he had written to President Trump requesting a meeting between the United States and ASEAN to address escalating trade tensions.
Quiet engagement matters. And this small and the breach may be fragile, but as they say in matters of peace, even a fragile breach is better than a widening gulf. I strongly believe in the fortitude and staying power of ASEAN to withstand the headwinds and weather the storms of the challenges and uncertainties facing us.
The Trump administration's recent threats to impose sweeping tariffs on global partners have sparked alarm among Southeast Asian economies, many of which depend heavily on trade. While Myanmar's internal conflict remains on the agenda, much of the summit's focus has turned to managing the economic fallout of US trade actions and reinforcing regional partnerships in response. ASEAN leaders are also set to meet Chinese Premier Li Qiang and officials from the Middle East on Tuesday, as part of efforts to broaden economic cooperation and navigate the shifting global trade landscape.
The final phase of the three-day prisoner of war swap between Russia and Ukraine has been completed, as both sides see the return of 303 captives.
Russia and Ukraine have completed the exchange of 1,000 prisoners of war each, in the largest such swap since the war began 3 years ago. The exchange has taken place over a three-day period beginning on Friday, which saw each side swap 390 prisoners. Saturday followed with the exchange of 307 more. The latest and final swap has seen the exchange of 303 captives from each side. Russian officials say they have involved specialists from the Defense Ministry to assist the returned captives and provide comprehensive support. The released prisoners have expressed deep relief, with some saying they couldn't believe the exchange was real until the final moments.
To be honest, I didn't believe till the last moment, until I changed into my uniform, that I had really been changed and that I am in Russia.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has thanked the team involved in the exchange and has vowed to return every hostage from Russia. The agreement to exchange 1,000 prisoners each was the only concrete step towards peace to emerge from the direct talks between the warring sides held in Istanbul when they failed to agree to a ceasefire. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers on both sides are believed to have been wounded or killed in Europe's deadliest war since World War II. Earlier, Pope Leo XIV has expressed willingness to host the next round of talks between Russia and Ukraine. However, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has called that solution inelegant and says it would put the Vatican in an uncomfortable position.
Spain hosted high-level talks in Madrid with lawmakers from European and Arab countries to discuss the war in Gaza and support a two-state solution. Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa called for more US involvement to help bring peace and stability to the region. Spanish Foreign Minister José Manuel Álvarez urged for an enforced arms embargo, warning the Middle East doesn't need more weapons. He also suggested reviving sanctions by individual countries and the European Union. And to unpack the recent developments in the Israeli political landscape, we're joined by Maurice Hitch from the Jerusalem Center for Security and Foreign Affairs. Thank you for joining us, Maurice.
Hi, good afternoon.
Now, with the recent talks that took place in Madrid, we're seeing many countries seemingly uniting for a two-state solution. What would you make of it?
If Hamas could have really dreamt of the biggest prize possible ever for carrying out the October 7 massacre, it would be to encourage more useful idiots like Macron, Keir Starmer, and the Canadian Prime Minister to recognize the non-existent state of Palestine. They murdered people, and the reward that they are receiving is discussions about a false two-state delusion. The Palestinians don't want two states. Hamas doesn't want two states. Hamas wants to annihilate all of the Jews. And so all of these discussions about a two-state solution is just naivete at the best and a desire to reward terrorism at the very worst.
Now, the Spanish Foreign Minister has called for an embargo on arms sales to Israel. Could you provide us with more details about the types of weaponry Israel purchases from the countries that participated in the Madrid talks?
So there are different countries that have different agreements with Israel, whether it be for armaments, whether it be for pieces of armaments. The claim, I think, of the Spanish Foreign Minister for an arms embargo is really the same idea as the delusional idea of recognizing a state of Palestine. To say that Israel should be hampered in its effort to wipe out the genocidal terrorists that murdered 1,200 people, that are holding the Gazan population hostage, that are still holding 58 hostages in Gaza. That is what all of these discussions means. When you call for an arms embargo on Israel, you are calling for the defeat of a democratic state fighting against genocidal terrorists. And making that claim, really, it's irrelevant which part, excuse me, those countries actually sell to Israel. Making that claim is morally defunct.
Okay, Maurice, thank you for joining us today. Pope Leo XIV addressed the faithful from the window of the Apostolic Palace in his inaugural Sunday appearance. He expressed gratitude for the support received and emphasised the need for unity and peace amid global conflicts.
Thousands gathered in St. Peter's Square to witness the message of faith from Pope Leo XIV, unity and peace. His first Regina Caeli address from the window of the Apostolic Palace, marking a significant moment in his papacy. Addressing the faithful, Pope Leo XIV expressed gratitude for the warm welcome he has received since his election earlier this month. He emphasised the importance of prayer and closeness in supporting his ministry.
First of all, I wish to thank you for the affection you are showing me, while I ask you to support me with your prayers and closeness. With these sentiments, our prayer embraces all people suffering from war. We invoke courage and perseverance for all those engaged in dialogue and the sincere search for peace.
Reflecting on the 10th anniversary of Pope Francis's environmental encyclical, Laudato Si', Pope Leo XIV acknowledged its widespread impact and the ongoing importance of caring for our common home.
10 years ago, Pope Francis signed the encyclical Laudato Si', dedicated to the care of the common home. It had an extraordinary diffusion.
Concluding his address, Pope Leo XIV offered a simple yet heartfelt blessing to all present. His papal inauguration took place on May 18th in St. Peter's Square, where he said unity within the Church and a commitment to addressing modern challenges.
Azerbaijan is once again at the forefront of global efforts to tackle Islamophobia. The capital, Baku, is hosting the International Scientific Conference, Islamophobia, Unveiling Bias, Shattering Stigma, marking the third anniversary of the UN-backed International Day to Combat Islamophobia. With participants from nearly 40 countries, the two-day event is addressing digital hate, policy discrimination, and rising anti-Muslim sentiment worldwide.
For the third consecutive year, Azerbaijan is reaffirming its leadership in the global efforts to combat Islamophobia. Baku is hosting the International Scientific Conference, Islamophobia, Unveiling Bias, Shattering Stigma, marking the third anniversary of the International Day to Combat Islamophobia. Jointly organized by the Baku International Multiculturalism Center, the Center of Analysis of International Relations, and the Baku Initiative Group, the event has become a critical platform for examining anti-Muslim sentiment and fostering global dialogue. This year's conference brings together over 100 foreign guests, including scholars, policy experts, religious leaders, and representatives from NGOs, nearly from 40 countries. It is supported by major international partners, including the G20 Interfaith Forum, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Doha International Center, ISESCO, and the Council of Muslim Elders, Central Council of Muslim in Germany, and the International Muslim Forum. The two-day conference will address a wide range of pressing issues under the themed sessions such as global trends in Islamophobia, anti-Muslim hatred in politics, Islamophobia in different contexts such as regional perspectives, the role of AI and digital media reinforcing Islamophobic bias, women identity and stereotypes, navigating religious and cultural prejudices, and also institutionalized legislation against Muslims in Europe. the preserving Islamic cultural heritage in a changing world as well. And in the very last topic, the panel discussions will include the youth's call for inclusion, fighting prejudice and misinformation. The event highlights how Islamophobia has evolved in the digital age, with sessions dedicated to the influence of AI algorithms and the spread of bias across the digital platforms, demonstrating Azerbaijan's commitment to engaging with modern, multifaceted challenges. According to the chairman of Analysis of International Relations Center, combating Islamophobia and promoting Islamic unity have become central to Azerbaijan's foreign policy. And the United Nations General Assembly adopted March 15 as the International Day to combat Islamophobia in 2022. Following the initial declaration in 2020, Azerbaijan has consistently hosting the leading voices to address religious intolerance on a global scale. By fostering open academic debate and diplomatic cooperation, Baku is steadily positioning itself as a regional and international hub for intercultural dialogue, with growing participation from institutions across Europe.
Russian and Turkish foreign ministers are set to meet in Moscow to discuss ongoing negotiations and regional security. Sergei Lavrov and Hakan Fidan will focus on the Russia-Ukraine negotiation process. The meeting will cover key issues in the South Caucasus, Libya, Syria and the Black Sea region. Both ministers plan to exchange views on recent developments after talks in Istanbul, including ensuring safe navigation in the Black Sea. This high-level meeting highlights continued diplomatic efforts between Russia and Turkey to address regional challenges and strengthen cooperation. Turkey and Pakistan have agreed to strengthen cooperation, especially in defence, energy and transport. It's after President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif met in Istanbul on Sunday. Turkey's foreign and defence ministers were also present. Erdogan's team said they also discussed regional and global issues, including the fight against terrorism. Earlier this month, Erdogan expressed support for Pakistan after India launched strikes in Kashmir. And with more insight on the topic, we're joined by Shiraz Mehmood Khan, research scholar at Western Caspian University in Baku, Azerbaijan. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, what are the current military agreements and connections between Turkey and Pakistan?
Well, Pakistan and Turkey actually have a very strong defense and economic and strategic ties for quite a long time. Under the Erdogan's regime, these strategic ties have grown many folds. With this changing world, both of the countries have changed their foreign policies as well, because it's a continuing changing world, and geopolitical changes are there. So they're changing their foreign policies as well. Therefore, very, very strong strategic ties they have it in terms of military and all that. Pakistan is the second largest buyer of Turkic military equipment, Pakistan, Turkey not only helps Pakistan in bringing in giving the modern drones, they help them enhancing the technology in submarines and obviously F-16 equipment and all that. So they have been very strong, strategic partners and military partners as well.
And Shiraz, Pakistan maintains strong relationships with both Turkey and Azerbaijan. What trilateral projects might we expect in the future, and how does this situation between India and Pakistan influence these relations?
Okay, so India and Pakistan went to a very, very decisive war for 2 or 3 days. That actually changed the whole geopolitical scenario of the region. Now security is the main problem, because if there is no security, if if these countries don't emphasize on the security, there would be no economic or other kind of cooperations which can take place. So security is the main issue in that, and you can see the army chief, or now he is a 5-star general. He is also accompanying the Prime Minister of Pakistan in this visit, which would be to Turkey, then to Iran, then to Azerbaijan. So Pakistan, Turkey, and Azerbaijan already have trilateral cooperations in economics, strategic, and other cooperations, connectivity, and all that. But as far as this Pakistan and India's tensions are concerned, they've got an effect on the region. So all the countries are very concerned about it, and they would extend their cooperation in every regard. Pakistan is very obliged and very thankful to India and to Azerbaijan and Turkey for their stance and their cooperation, and they stood by Pakistan in these difficult times. And Pakistan's Prime Minister has taken this message on the behalf of people of Pakistan as well. So strategic ties and military ties are very important for three of the countries, for their trilateral cooperation and for the region as well, because none of the countries actually can afford to have any kind of disturbance in the region for their economic growth, for their all kind of other cooperations. There are a lot of stakes of all these three countries in the region. All of the three countries believe in multilateralism, and that's what they're doing. They're connecting with each other, not only connecting with each other, but they're connecting with the other regional partners like Central Asia countries or Turkey countries or Turkey bloc. So a lot of there's a Belt and Road initiative going on in this region, so nobody can afford any kind of disturbance.
Okay, Shiraz, thank you so much for your analysis today. Iran says it's ready to boost regional trade. The country has offered logistics support to neighbours through its southern port city of Bandar Abbas. Speaking at the launch of the Tehran Apron dry port terminal's final phase, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson said landlocked countries like Russia, Belarus and several Central Asian and Caucasus states can now access global markets via Iran's transport network. He also confirmed that the key Shabadar-Zahdan railway will be ready by year-end. A large Chinese freight train has already reached the site, signalling the start of operations. A major milestone in Turkey's indigenous defence capabilities, Baykar has announced that its next-generation unmanned fighter aircraft, the Bayraktar Kızıl Elma PT-4, has successfully completed its afterburner takeoff aerodynamic system identification test. The test marks a critical advancement in the country's efforts to develop cutting-edge unmanned aerial combat technologies.
The Bayraktar Kızıl Elma PT-4 fighter UAV has successfully completed its afterburner takeoff aerodynamic system identification test. That's according to Baykar board chairman Seljuk Bayraktar. The Bayraktar Kızıl Elma fighter UAV is being developed entirely within Turkish borders by Baykar, a company that has become a global name in drone technology. The successful completion of the afterburner takeoff aerodynamic system identification test represents a key step forward in the development of these high-performance combat UAV. Designed for future air combat scenarios expected to be dominated by unmanned systems, the Kızıl Elma is part of Turkey's strategic push into next-generation defense technologies. According to official specifications, the Kızıl Elma is set to play an increasingly significant role in future military operations, thanks to its fully indigenous development and advanced technological framework. Baykar board chairman Seljuk Bayraktar emphasized that the fighter UAV embodies Turkey's vision of a future air combat environment where unmanned technology will be a dominant force. He underlined that all development and testing activities are being carried out domestically, demonstrating the country's growing self-reliance in critical defense technologies. The Kızıl Elma program is seen as a cornerstone of Turkey's evolving air combat doctrine, aiming to enhance operational flexibility and technological independence.
That's all we have for now. Thank you for watching and stay tuned to AnewZ.